Welcome everybody to our Thursday night gathering of Lord Meher. It's lovely to be here with you all another Thursday night. So, Eva, can you make the script a little bigger? Yeah, great, awesome, thank you. We're going to start reading from page number 2134 today. Papa Jaisawala and Kaka Baria had been sent to Ankai on 26 July 1940. They returned to Mehrabad on the 28th after visiting some caves on the hill. 2 days later, Baba sent a group of 5 men, Papa, Gustaji, Pleader, Savak, and Swami Bhabananda, to stay at Ankai in the caves for 1 full year. Coinciding with Baba's seclusion at Mehrabad, Gustaji was already observing silence, and pleader Sawak and Bahaba, Babananda were ordered to remain silent also. Baba was to be their spokesman, and Baba instructed to all to obey Papa. Baba directed Papa to look after the others. Well, while the group was preparing to depart for Ankai, Baba encouraged Papa seriously. Your austerities on the mountain will result in your spiritual progress. How Papa's and the others' spiritual progress was achieved will be seen soon. Swami Bhavananda, after his pilgrimage to Rameshwaram and Pandharpur, had stayed on in Bangalore, then accompanied the Mandali to Mehrabad. Kale, Adi Senior, Ghani, Datu, Men Darge, and Sidhu were still living in Bangalore. Since the Bhairamangla construction work had come to a halt on 8 July, Padri, Masaji, and Murli had moved back to Bangalore. Footnote, please. Ghani was editing the Meher Baba journal when he informed Baba at the end of July he had a severe case of bronchitis. Padri, typhoid, and Dalu, rheumatic pain, and coughing. Baba wrote back, sufferings and blessings. Wow. Chagan, sorry, Nauroji Dada Chanji had rejoined his family in Bombay. Kaka, Baria, and Chanji were in Bombay distributing literature about Meher Baba. Another footnote, please. A small booklet, Meher Baba, by his Eastern and Western disciples, containing reprints of articles from Every Man and Meher Baba Journal, had recently been printed in Mangalore. Thank you. Jagan was in charge of the Mad Ashram at Mehrabad and staying with his wife and daughter in the Aranga family quarters. Baidul was in charge of the Mast Ashram up the hill. Pendu, Sailor, Homi, Don, Neelu, Masaji, Krishna, Kale Mama, his brother, Anna Sahib, Kale, Vishnu, and Vishnu's mother, Kakubai, were all staying in Lower Mehrabad. Masaji, Kale Mama, and Anna Sahib Kale were also ordered to observe silence from the 1st of August. On Thursday, 1st August 1940, Baba retired into seclusion in the Mast Ashram on Mehrabad Hill at 4 p.m. after reading the day's mail. He fasted on water the whole day. Footnote, please. It was a national holiday in India that day in honor of the death anniversary of Lokmanya Tilak, one of India's founding fathers. Thank you. Thereafter, he began eating only once a day, as he had instructed some of his lovers to do. No one, including the Mandli, was allowed to see him except for Vishnu, who would go to him with the mail, telegrams, and messages since all correspondence had stopped. There were hardly 5 or 6 letters received each day. So Vishnu would go to Baba once a day in the morning, unless telegrams were received, in which case he would go back. Sometimes Adi Senior in Bangalore would write to Baba, but Baba would not open his letters. He would ask, "Why does Adi write when he knows that correspondence has stopped?" Footnote, please. Later, this restriction was eased, and Baba sent cables to Adi Senior about his and the other Bangalore monthlies' health. Thank you. The only other resident besides Vishnu who was fortunate enough to see Baba during his seclusion was the young servant Kashya S. Kamble, 22, who would bring Baba the Times of India at 8:30 every morning. Baba, however, was always particular to ask Vishnu about each of the Mehrabad men and women monthlies' health, work, duties, and activities. Krishna was Baba's personal attendant, and would take Baba his tea, food, and water. But he never saw Baba at these times. Baba was not staying in one room, but moving about the compound of the Mast ashram, giving a bath to 4 months and working in seclusion with Chati Baba. Each time Krishna would step inside the compound, Baba would hide himself so as not to be seen. Baba remained quite aloof from the outside world, absorbed with working in seclusion with the Mas. Krishna was told to be in, meaning to come inside the Mast ashram at the following times: 5 to 6 a.m., arrange Baba's bath and toilet. 7 a.m. for 5 minutes only to bring tea and take away his clothes for washing. 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. to take away tea vessels, clean Baba's latrine, clean Chatibai's room, and arrange Chatibai's bath and breakfast tea. Bring Baba's drinking water and take away stale vessels, clean Baba's room. At 2 o'clock, for 5 minutes to bring Baba's meal. 4 to 5 p.m. arrange Baba's bedding and take away meal vessels. Arrange meal for Chati Baba. 6 p.m. for 10 minutes to bring Baba's tea and wash clothes. 6:30 for 15 minutes to take away tea vessels and clean Baba's latrine and keep a lighted lantern. A lighted lantern. Before entering seclusion, Baba divided the women into different groups of three. Members of one group were not to speak with members of another group. Kitty was to pass messages between them. The upper floor of the dormitory was divided into smaller cubicles for each group. Baba would visit the women's quarters once a week, every Thursday from 1:30 to 8 p.m. During the period of his seclusion, he had asked the women to chant the 7 names of God each morning. Each day, they were also ordered to keep silence from 4:30 to 7 a.m., from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., and from 8 p.m. onward, because at these times Baba was absorbed in working with his mas and would not tolerate the slightest noise from outside. On Thursday, 8th August 1940, Baba came to see the women and told them more about Kareem Baba. This new one from Calcutta is a very rare type. The state he is in was longed for by Ramakrishna and Vivekananda. He never asked for anything, not even water. Whatever you put there for him, he eats. We put about 200 cigarettes before him and he smoked them all, four at a time. Wow, four at a time. I wonder how they do that. And swallowed the ends. Ooh, it is phenomenal. and then he goes to sleep again. He either sits or sleeps. When, for my working purposes, I want to keep him awake state, I put cigarettes before him, which he smokes continuously. Then he goes to sleep again, although his sleep is not ordinary sleep but super consciousness. When I put 50 pan before him, he ate the whole lot. Wow. He does can you scroll it up, please? He does not enjoy it, however, uh, it is all the same to him. He has not the slightest consciousness of the body. He is now in a cage. I keep him locked. Can you guess why? When this child gets into a temper, he is beyond anyone's control. Not even 100 people can control him. Footnote, please. Karim Baba had been kept at Lower Mehrabad for a while, in Baba's Rahuri cabin, and when he was brought up to the bamboo cage room on Mehrabad Hill, he was taken bound in heavy metal chains. My God. Hmm. When I find him approaching that temper, even a little, I go and calm him. A child is a child, a mad is a mad, and a ghoul is a ghoul. But this type is all three in one. When he acts like that, there's also a reason behind it. The changes are and works of the world and humanity are played through the great souls, mass, and worked by the perfect masters. Why does the saint get violent? When the infinite power expresses itself through gross form reacts in reverse, the opposite way, because grossness is the opposite of God. I sent the king Mast Fulawala back to Belgaum and brought this child Mast Kareem Baba in his place. Both kept so healthy, never catch a cold or cough, never had indigestion in spite of being so regardless of their body. King must and child must never get sick because their body is their slave. Instead, they're being slaves to their instead of them instead of their being slaves to their body. I'm going to read this again. Just 1 minute. Please go back. The last line. Yeah. The king must and child must never get sick because their body is their slave instead of their being slaves to their body. How profound. Thank you. Next page. Okay, Rosalie, can you take it up from here? Thank you.
Elizabeth said, and yet Ramakrishna had cancer. All perfect masters and avatars have some deep wound. I have it in my cheek. It is a hole. Gulmai has seen it. It is called nasur, fistula. It is sometimes better, sometimes worse. Continuing about must, Baba stated, nowadays, Chadi Baba doesn't want to come for his bath. So Mohammed goes to his door and calls loudly, Baba, come, take bath. Meher Baba is Meher Baba is standing. Meher Baba's legs are paining. Oh, that's it. Meher Baba is standing. Meher Baba's legs are paining. Come, Baba, come. And then Chadi Baba comes. I bathe him twice daily, about 50 pails of water each time. After his bath, he pours earth over himself. Concerning the war, Baba stated, now when I come here every Thursday, We will talk of everything but the war. Soon it will spread to Bombay and Ahmednagar. All over the world, people are so sad, mad, and soon it will be bad beyond conception. So you must follow the orders as you did this week, but more wholeheartedly than ever, willingly and happily. Do it, not just because I order you, but because you like to obey. Baba then told the women about the 5 men staying in Ankai. Theirs is a hard test. 4 of them observe silence, and the one who is allowed to speak is the pistol, Papa. He does everything and makes so much of a row that it drives them all crazy. He gets up at 4 a.m. and wakes them up just to keep him company. Every week, things have to be brought from Manmad. There are no wells or proper shelter there. In their weekly report, the 4 under him reported, quote, "We will keep silence for eternity and fast to death. Only if pistol is not here." I replied, "Stay with pistol and keep silent only for 1 year." Baba came back to see the women after a week on 15 August. While reflecting upon a Gujarati interpretation of Vedanta, Baba explained about realization in Majubs. When one is a real child, a kingly child, it means he is God realized. As in godhood, there is pure childhood. That is why Jesus said, "Lest you become like a child, you shall not enter the kingdom of God." To such a child, all the universe is as a toy. The whole infinite life is the garden where this child plays. Majub is a Persian word meaning divinely overpowered. One gets drowned, immersed completely. We see the Majubs eating, drinking, sleeping, etc., but they themselves do not know it, literally. They are not at all conscious of the body. For example, when a person talks, sings, or cries in his sleep, others hear it, but the person himself is not conscious of it. That is why these musts are never ill. Out of 1,000 million people, only 100,000 are on the path. Out of these 100,000, only 10 become Majubs. And out of the 10, only 1 comes down as a perfect master. Today, I've talked much. I won't do it every time. I don't like it. In the must ashram, I don't talk. I work. I want you to start sending Warrior, the puppy, over to the must ashram every day at 2 p.m. for a week. The night watchman has reported that every morning at 3 a.m., 2 wolves have been seen prowling outside the compound. So be careful of the ducks and hens. After working intensely with Karim Baba for several weeks, Baba finished his work with him and sent him back to Calcutta on 16 August with Kakabaria. Baba then began staying in the cage room, which had been specially built for this tiger must, Kareem Baba. After Calcutta, Kaka went on to Tanjore, where he located a must who refused to accompany him to Meherabad. Kaka went to Madras and other places looking for must, but he was unsuccessful and returned to Bombay. During August 1940, Baba sent Masaji, who was on silence, to Pandapur. I can't see the word because my what's that? Pandapur, the must known as Kabir, to Meherabad to bringing this must. Kabir was a most frightening character, near naked, very dirty, wild hair, and unforgettable. His large mouth had 2 rows of yellow teeth, and he roared with the loudest laughter like some wild beast. His haunt was the cremation grounds of Pandapur, and it was said that he swallowed the incinerated ashes of the corpses there. Baba bathed and shaved this must and sent him back to his haunt after 1 day at Meherabad. Meanwhile, at Ankai, Gustaji, Pleader, Savak, Babananda were facing unexpected hardships. Papa Jasawala would give them tea at 4 a.m. Lunch would be served at 7 a.m., afternoon tea at 10 a.m., and dinner at 2 p.m. All were forced to follow this absurd regime. None could say a word to refute Papa's instructions, since they were on silence and had been ordered by Baba to obey whatever Papa said. So this,
Thank you, Rosalie. Marvin can take it from here. Thanks.
So this was a time of doubly harsh penance for them, and their state was such that if at 7 a.m., the fixed time for lunch, anyone wanted to go to answer nature's call, Papa would not tolerate even a moment's delay and would refuse to give them permission to leave. On Thursday, 22nd August 1940, when Baba was visiting with the women, he mentioned the Ankai group. Before he began, one woman remarked on how well and beautiful he looked. Baba commented in reply, "And yet, last night was a terrible night for me." Then he continued, "Those on the mountain are having a good time. Fog, chilly weather, but a spiritual atmosphere. This mountain is a Hindu place of pilgrimage, and this is the month of pilgrimage. Thousands go there. There is a tomb of a well-known Hindu saint, Agastya Muni. 4 of the Mandali are staying right there in a cave. They walk about on a plateau. Out of the 5 there, only one who speaks is the pistol, the only one who speaks. You can picture him telling them all to go to hell when he cannot understand their signs. At 7 in the morning, he gets all the food cooked and ready. He wakes them up at 4 a.m. If they do not get up, he makes such a loud racket that they have to get up. Even when he was here, he used to get up at 2:30 a.m. and wake up the servant boys. In a way, it's good. It's discipline. It's his nature. Before he goes anywhere, he packs his luggage and is ready 7 days beforehand." Narina remarked, "But he is somewhat stingy." "Well, let us not criticize," Baba said, and smiled in reference to their orders. It was almost 3:45 in the afternoon by then, and Baba stated, Until 4 o'clock, we talk of war. Churchill will be marked down in history as the greatest prime minister of England. America is slowly coming in. One thing is definite. India will suffer most of all, internal and external both. We will be in the midst of war. Bombs will drop on Narina's foot. Footnote. Narina had strained a ligament in her right foot. There are 4 stages of this war, Baba continues. The first is now over, and the second will begin. It will be bad. The third will be very bad. The whole world will be aflame. The fourth will be termination. The 3 phases are within 1 year, 4 months each. The difference in good and bad is so subtle. Good for one person is bad for others. Hitler really thinks he is doing good, but his good, quote unquote, is bad, quote unquote, for others. Don't think because I look so happy and well that it is all so easy. I feel very, very well, but very depressed. Last night was very bad. Baba then commented about meditation and repeating his name. Love comes in the last stage of meditation. It is the longing for the beloved that brings one nearer to that stage. In the morning, you say the 7 names of God. When I say do it from the heart, it means first you must feel that you are taking the name of God. Secondly, you must have the fixed idea in your mind that all these names are one. The vibration of your repetition helps. These names I have so selected and arranged that they vibrate and help if done with feeling. I intend for the musts to sing this. They will help more because their minds work either too fast or too slow, so that it seems at a stop. Some days later, Baba narrated an amusing incident about meditation. I had a follower named Barsoap. While meditating, he would go to sleep, but in the posture of meditation. When anyone shook him awake, he would claim he was in deep meditation. But one day I caught him, and he admitted he was sleeping. So, like Barsoap, don't go to sleep during meditation, but sing the names sincerely. Baba sent word to Don through Vishnu to proceed to Ankai and see how the Mandali were faring. He was to ask them whether they would prefer to stay at Ankai or return to Meherbad. Don left on the 26th and returned the same evening with encouraging news. Papa had told Don that all were happy and that he was caring for them well, saying they would of course continue to stay at Ankai under Baba until Baba himself sent for them. Poor Savak, Gustaji, Pleader, and Babananda were silent, so they could not tell Don the real story. Padre came to Meherbad on 26 August from Bangalore, but Baba did not see him that day. As instructed, daily Krishna would carry Baba's meals to him in the cage room, leave the food on the floor, and go away without seeing Baba. A bell was hung in front of Baba's room. After eating, Baba would go inside the cage and pull on the rope to ring the bell for Krishna, who would come and take away the empty tiffins. Krishna too had a rope on the outside that was attached to the bell. When he rang the bell 2 times at 8 in the morning, for instance, Baba would know that Vishnu was coming, so he would retire inside. This went on for 6 or 7 days until the following incident occurred. Oh boy. One afternoon, as Krishna sat in his usual position outside the compound gate, he heard the bell ring. Krishna related what happened next. I wondered why Baba was calling me in the middle of the afternoon, because it was not his tea time. I entered the gate. I had just opened the gate when I saw Baba standing in front of me. A blazing light, stronger than 100 suns, shone from his body. I was overwhelmed by its brightness. I swooned. Catching one side of the gatepost with my right hand for support, I lost consciousness. Baba hurried over to Krishna and grasped his left bicep. He pulled the muscle so hard it tore in two pieces. The searing pain brought Krishna back to consciousness. Why did you come inside? Baba demanded angrily. Do you want to burn? Do you want to die? Do you want to be blind? Why did you come? Who called you? Krishna was weeping. After a few minutes, he replied, Baba, the bell was ringing. Who rang the bell? I don't know, Krishna replied. I'm innocent, Baba. Baba went inside. Krishna remained slumped by the compound gate, unable to move. Baba came out again within 5 minutes. He was smiling. Baba caressed Krishna's face. Don't worry, he said. I forgive you. What has happened has happened. Krishna got to his feet, and Neela was called to treat his injury. The muscle never healed properly and left a scar, but it served as a lifelong reminder to Krishna of what he had seen that day on Meherabad Hill. On Thursday, 29 August 1940, when Baba was with the women, he commented, to be with me at this period means infinite good sanskaras of the past. Baba instructed the women not to send the dog warrior anymore because he would be shifting the mad and other musts up the hill from the family quarters.
Thank you,
Mentioning,
Marvin.
okay,
Uh, Eugene, would you like to read next?
Mentioning Muhammad in a humorous vein, Baba stated, Muhammad's imaginary wife was to have come tomorrow. When he asked if she was coming, we said yes. But she has fasted for a month and is very weak and ill. If you want, we can bring her to you on a stretcher. And he said, no, keep her and feed her well on ghee, clarified butter. And when she is well and fat, bring her. So again, it is prolonged. All had a good laugh at this amusing incident. Kakabaria arrived at night with a must from Bombay. Baba indicated he was one of the 3 genuine musts of Bombay, along with Tipu Baba and a sannyasi saint. Baba bathed him, but sent him back the next day. Since there was no space to keep him at Meherabad, and the must also did not wish to stay. Footnote. Chanji speculated that the must was not of the type that Baba wished to work with at the time. Chuggin would also bring mad persons and musts to Baba to be bathed, some of whom were kept at Meherabad. Of the Mandali, only Kaka, Chuggin, and Vishnu saw Baba. Baba had, however, called Padri and Murli for a few days from Bangalore and gave them certain instructions. From his seclusion, Baba began visiting the women Mandali twice a week in September, on Sundays and Thursdays. He went to their quarters at 1 p.m. on Sunday, 1 September, and remarked, the war has entered the second phase. Pendu had been instructed through Vishnu to build another bathroom for Baba's personal use in the must ashram compound, as Baba wanted to shift the mad up the hill. Baba was working with the musts within the barbed wire compound of the maternity hospital, but he would not show himself as long as Pendu was within the vicinity. He therefore directed that Pendu only work on the 2 days when he went to see the women. The mad and a few musts who had been kept in the family quarters in Erangown were shifted up to the must ashram on the 2nd. Baba indicated he wished to work with them for a month before sending them away. It also seemed to coincide once again with activities related to the war, as from the end of August 1940 to the first week in September, London was being heavily bombed by the Germans. The women were mostly looking after the animals, which were still kept on Mehrabad Hill in the zoo. Two female peahens, who were called Edie and Jingi, had been added to the menagerie. Narina had strained a ligament in her right foot and was temporarily bedridden upstairs. As mentioned, Lucky the monkey had been put in her charge. He was under the mosquito net. Baba would come to see him, hold and caress him, and the monkey would in turn kiss Baba's neck. Monkey's kiss, huh? Lucky was anything but lucky for the women. He proved to be a great mischief maker. He would break loose from his cage under Narina's net, throw things everywhere, causing noise when Baba wanted silence, and in general proved an incredible nuisance. Mansari had been ordered to translate the contents of Meher Baba Journal into Gujarati every month, and Lucky caused havoc, grabbing her ink bottle, papers, and pens and running off with them. This annoyed Mansari, but she was on silence and could not shout, "Catch him!" as she would have liked. Elizabeth and Narina were supposed to be looking after Lucky, and everyone complained to them about him. On Thursday, 5 September, when Baba came, Mansari was so irritated she complained to him about Lucky. Baba replied. Mansari gets exasperated and excited in no time and cannot control her ire because she is not so strong. And you all cannot help her because you too are weak. I want you to help each other. I do not want you breaking my orders for a monkey. The more I ask you to be more obedient, the less you all obey. You obey less and help less because you are helpless. Unless and until you keep strict watch over yourselves, you cannot follow my orders. It is not possible. So try. Someone asked Hafiz what spirituality meant, and he answered in one ode. Unless you go against your lower self, you cannot unite with your higher self. Now, what is the lower self? That which makes you think you are small, that which makes you feel that you are not satisfied, not happy, that which makes others see you as small. So the meaning of going against the lower self is to transform this in quite the opposite direction. Be that which makes you look big and makes others see you as big. Remain pleased and contented, happy and satisfied. When you are displeased, unhappy, or upset and moody, it is your lower self asserting itself. People always put the blame for their dissatisfaction and suffering on others. But the fact is, When one suffers, it is one's own fault. Mansari became excited. She was angry and suffered, and she laid it all on Elizabeth, Narina, and Lucky. But if she had gone beyond the lower self, she would have taken it calmly, swallowed it, and remained unaffected. If you are firm, nothing will upset you. If you try, you will surely have it. I don't want any repression, but I do want transformation. I never for one moment say that you must not get angry. Don't be confused. You must get angry when the occasion arises. But at once, you must get it out of your head. If you are not hungry, to fast has no meaning. I have told you this story before. Prophet Muhammad once told his chief apostle Ali, if you want to know me, try your utmost to control your anger and transform it into love. The very next day, someone challenged Ali to a fight. Ali fought him and won. He brought the man down and sat on his chest. The man spat right in Ali's face, the worst insult to a Muslim. And Ali got so angry, he raised his dagger to kill him. But then Ali remembered what Muhammad had said, and so instead, he kissed him and let him go. Now, if he had not gotten angry, he would not have had the opportunity to control himself. That does not mean that you should go on kissing each other when you are angry. Narina said something to her in her defense, and Baba replied, Italians can't control their temper. Baba then touched on characteristics of other nationalities and groups and observed. Like the Italians, the Bengalis also cannot control their anger. They are the curse of India. All are anarchists. The Germans are cruel and barbarians, but the Italians are playing a very mean part for self-gain. The Punjabis are very good. They get very angry, but they are calm and have control. Neither of the extremes is good. Those who do not get excited and those who very quickly lose their temper. But they are great who, though excited, control their temper. I like the Punjabis best for that. To become excited and to express it is the easiest thing on earth, but to control anger is a great thing. If Nadia's cat eats the bird, Nadia will not get annoyed with the cat. But if Elizabeth sees the cat eating the bird, she will punish the cat, and Nadia will be upset with Elizabeth. Don't be Italians nor Eskimos, but be Punjabis. Before returning to the must ashram, Baba went with the women to see Lucky and the other pets. Lucky broke loose and misbehaved, smearing toothpaste. So Baba beat him with a stick. They finally caught the miscreant monkey in the bathroom. Baba was not at all happy. He remarked, if Lucky would die, he would be free. My two pets, Chum and Lucky, both have to be kept tied up all day. And there's a note. Chum was a ferocious watchdog and so had to be tied up.
Thank you, Eugene.
Yeah,
Marilyn,
you're
would you like to
welcome.
read
Look at
from
that
your?
beautiful picture, by the way. Baba with
Yeah,
Lucky.
just describe it for people to us. Thanks.
Yeah, little Lucky is like an infant. He's so tiny. My goodness. Yeah. And it's been nicely colorized, I think. Yeah. Go ahead, Eva, or whoever the next reader is.
Baba changed, it's Marilyn. Baba
Marilyn, sorry.
That's all right. Baba changed the timing of the women's daily chanting of the 7 names of God from 5:30 to 6 a.m. to 5:30 to 6 p.m. Naja was not well at the time, and Baba remarked, "If Naja dies, I will place her grave near Nani's." When Baba visited the women on Sunday afternoon, 8 September 1940, he explained about world conditions. Politics has this meaning today, all a mess and very unclean. The rulers of the Indian states, the Rajas and Ranis, have all led scandalous lives, but the British government ignores that and tells them to govern because all the native kings side with the British. Excuse me, the coronation ceremony in Mysore is a farce, and the Indian National, that's in parentheses, Congress Party hates it. India is placed in the worst situation internally and externally. You will soon see it. The Muslims accepted the Viceroy's offer, whereas the Congress Party has refused it. If the Congress declares civil disobedience, it would be going against the Muslims and British both. Some like Gandhi and some don't like him, but he is the only honest man, although weak in some matters. The real calamity for the world has not yet begun. When they know that they do not know, then they will know. Now they merely say they know. When India gets its share of the world calamity more than others, then the real thing has begun. Changing the subject, Baba explained about meditation. Those who can meditate should do so. Those who cannot should repeat my name for half an hour. You must meditate daily, but the day I come to visit you, it doesn't matter. For some, meditation is suitable. For others, it is not, and a very few enjoy it. The meaning of meditation is to go within yourselves, right inside of you. Those who love God, that love takes them within. In some, this is page 2146. Seclusion, it says 1940. In some ashrams, like Madurai and Pandit, can you make the excuse me, can you make the font bigger? The print bigger? Is that possible? Makes a difference. Thank you so much. In some ashrams like Madurai and Pondicherry, there are actual meditation classes. But meditation has never yet made a person one with God. Hafez said to the Sufis, if you have the whim to achieve union with God, become as the dust at the feet of one who has become united with him. Meditation gives peace and some inner revelation to some fortunate ones. Aurobindo Ghosts, in parentheses, has written in his book, I am trying to attain that state through meditation. If illumination is attained through meditation, it is no small thing. The meaning of meditation is to go deep within oneself. It is self-hypnotism in the divine way. to lose yourself in forgetting the self by not thinking of anything but the self. Aurobindo is on the sixth plane, not by the state of a Wali must, but by meditation. Chadi Baba never meditated, yet he sees God all day and night. And though both are on the sixth plane, there is a great difference between them. Love gives permanence. Meditation gives samadhi. After union with God, complete permanency exists, whether you come down to gross consciousness or not. If you come down, you bring God with you. Aurobindo writes beautifully about the deep valley between seeing God and God himself. He says, we cry out on this side, oh God, we see you, but cannot come to you. So at least you come to us. And God replies, I always come as Ram, Krishna, Buddha, and others. There's an asterisk or some footnote. Okay, Lord Meher, page 2146. Even though Baba praised Aurobindo's writing on one occasion, when he found Adi Sr. reading a book of Aurobindo's, Baba told him, what have you to do with saints? You have me, the avatar. Throw all those books away. Sufis don't give hell for meditation. They love. Meditation is good. If you love and meditate, there is no harm. Excuse me, one moment. If you love and do not meditate, there is no harm. But don't meditate as if you have taken quinine powder, like something to somehow or other be done and gotten over with. If you are interested in meditation, you ought to do it with joy. If you don't like meditation, then you have to take my name. And if you love me, taking my name ought to give you joy. Do it when and where you like. Alluding to outside disturbances and noise, Baba stated, even in the Himalayas, you cannot have complete stillness. But after September, you can meditate near the dome, in parentheses, tomb. Samadhi is the state where you do not hear a gun fired even at a close range. The drawback in meditation is that any noise disturbs it, but love has no such obstruction. There the lover is merged in the thought of his beloved. He does not meditate, he only loves. Neither noise nor obstacles, nor any obstacles bothers him. Excuse me, neither noise nor any obstacle bothers him. From 5:30 to 6 p.m., the women sang the 7 names of God in their east room before Baba, and Baba remarked, sing it here every day. Then he asked them to tell him funny stories, which they did until he left at 8:15 p.m. Meanwhile, the 4 prisoners of the pistol at the Ankai cave were having a rough time under the strange schedule arranged by Papa Jesawala. Gustaji got so fed up with Papa's regimen, he had Savik write a pleading letter to Baba on his behalf to this effect. Dear Baba, I was with Sai Baba. I was with Upasni Maharaj. I was with Babajan. And now I am with you, Meher Baba. But I have never come across a master like Papa. Affairs here have reached such a state that either I will have to go away or the master will have to leave. If you want to save us from this sorry situation, the only solution is to free us from Pistol's clutches, Gustaji. The letter was handed to Baba in seclusion by Vishnu, and it greatly amused him. He instructed Vishnu to send Don on the 8th to call the 5 men back from Ankai. They returned to Meherabad on the 10th of September, driven by Don in a bus supplied by Sarosh, and were accommodated in the vacant family quarters. Their orders of silence, seclusion, and fast were still continued, and Papa Jesawala, too, was given silence and had no more connection with the 4 men, much to their relief. When Don came on the 11th to report to Baba, a well-known Swiss explorer and travel writer named Ella Melart arrived at Meherabad and requested to meet Baba. Since Baba was in seclusion, he did not see her, but Don spoke with her briefly. Baba continued to work with the Mad and Musts on Meherabad Hill until Sunday, 15 September 1940, when, except for Chati Baba, Mohammed, and Shariat Khan, he sent all the others away to their respective places with Masaji and Kalimama, who also were both observing silence. Baba continued working with the remaining 3 musts. The date was significant as it coincided with the ending of the Battle of Britain, Hitler's first major defeat in the war. The Germans had already destroyed the armies and air forces of France, Belgium, and the Netherlands, and the German army was poised for the invasion of Britain. September 15th was the climax of the most critical day of the long series of air fights between the RAF and the Luftwaffe, known as the Battle of Britain. It is considered one of the most decisive battles of the war, ruining Hitler's ambition of the conquest of England. Meeting with the women in the afternoon of Thursday, 19 September 1940, Baba heard some portions of books portions of books about music read aloud and commented.
Thank you, Marilyn. Eva, can you take it from here?
Sure. There are 132 tunes in music. The singing by an expert musician or maestro is wonderful, but they are very rare. There was a blind singer in Delhi who is now dead, whose performance was quite superb. God is infinite Nad. Kabir calls it Anhad Nad, or infinite voice. In each subtle and mental plane, there are 7 tunes. Thus, there are 43 tunes, 42 in the 6 planes, and 1 of God's tune. Even the best and most exquisite true voice of the gross plane is only the 7th shadow of that voice, which is God's, and which Christ, Zoroaster, and Kabir have called the Word of God. The voice of the best singer, which makes the rain fall, lights play, and people weep, is only the seventh shadow of that voice, which is God's. If the tune of the sixth shadow is heard, it will make one completely forget the universe. This happens on the first plane. If the pilgrim keeps listening to that note, which is continuous on the first plane, he cannot go on. On the second plane, when the pilgrim hears the fifth shadow of that eternal voice, he neither eats nor sleeps. The second plane is far more powerful than the first. It is called Nad, which means tune. Do not take the examples cited literally. How can it be explained? The Hindus call the word of God Om. If you close your mouth, you cannot say anything, but you can utter Om, the seventh shadow of the voice of God. God is infinite voice, infinite light, and infinite love. On the first plane, they hear with the subtle ear. On the fifth and sixth planes, with the mental ear. And on the seventh plane, they become the voice itself. How can you grasp it? Impossible. How can you understand God as voice and you're becoming that voice? Baba laughed and sadly shook his head, then continued. What is love? Even if you love, it is very difficult to define that love. Then just imagine how impossible it is to define infinite love. Vedanta says that the sun and the fiery planets are merely the seventh shadow of that light, which is God. A shadow itself is nothing. Therefore, the seventh shadow of that shadow means not even nothing. God's voice is not what we use when we speak. Imagine God as this voice. They call it voice merely to try to explain it. Vedantists cannot explain it. Sufis explain it differently, not as shadow, but as a veil. They describe it like this. Say that you are God. You look into a mirror. What you first see in the mirror is on the sixth plane, the first reflection. Then you see the reflection behind a veil in the mirror, and that is on the fifth plane, the second reflection. The reflection behind another veil and behind the first veil is on the fourth plane, the third reflection, and so on, veil after veil until the seventh. These are the seven veils. Continuing, Baba spelled out from the alphabet board, which Mani read. Take another example. Say consciousness is God. You, Elizabeth, are conscious of holding Kippy in your lap. Then you imagine you have a tiger in your lap. This imagination is the first shadow of this consciousness. Then comes the shadow of this shadow, the sixth plane, and so on. Another example. In India, they make bells by hand, not by machinery. First, they mold a bell of earth. then pour melted metal on top and make a metal bell. After the process is over, they remove the earthen bell. Now, this earthen bell is the first shadow of the real bell. Although it is the exact replica of the real bell, it is only earth and cannot ring. Therefore, if the difference between the bell and its first shadow, earthen bell, is so vast, what must the seventh shadow be? Just nothing. If in the first shadow there is no metal but earth, what will they find in the seventh shadow? I, who explain this more clearly than anyone in the world, even I cannot explain clearly enough in words. Once a man who never had a headache went to a Hakim, Unani doctor, and asked him, "What is a headache?" Footnote. Unani is the traditional herbal medical system of Muslims. The Hakim knew what it was for. The Hakim knew what it was, for he had experienced it. He explained for hours in words and actions, but the man could not imagine what a headache could be like. At last, in exasperation, the Hakim got an idea. He picked up a stone and struck the man squarely on the head. The man knew at once what a headache was, and with his question answered in this realistic manner, he left. About the shadows, I can give you the experience in a second, but cannot explain it to you in words. I said this world is the seventh shadow of God. If God does not exist, the world would not exist. But the voice of God is not sound. Even on the third plane, there is no sound. On the first plane is subtle sound, very, very faint. In the second plane, the sound is more drowning, and you get drowned in it. But that voice, which is God, the shadow of that voice, is overpowering in the third plane. Sufis call it dumbfounding. Nadine could not grasp and asked, "Does the shadow of the voice of God gradually get fainter in every plane?" Baba replied, "You cannot say that God is infinite and gets more and more finite on every plane. Infinite cannot be finite. If you say God's voice becomes weaker, it is not right. God's voice cannot become weaker. It is like the example of the bells. Let us say the first bell is of gold, and that its first shadow is an iron bell. The second shadow is an earthen bell. The third shadow is a paper bell, and so forth. All have the same shape, but the gold bell and the paper bell are quite different. So in the case of the paper bell, you cannot say the gold bell has become weaker. Throughout September 1940, Baba continued to work in strict seclusion in the Mast Ashram on the hill. He also continued his visits to the women twice a week on Thursdays and Sundays. During this period, Baba had passed on to Rano a portrait someone had done of him, painted on a piece of plywood. Baba instructed Rano to paint his picture over it in a seated position, wearing a sadra with his long hair open. This she did, titling the work, "The Avatar." And footnote, Rano's painting is now kept at Meherbad. On Sunday, 22 September, Baba asked the women, who was it who said, unless you lose yourself, you cannot find yourself? And this is probably a good time to stop since it's noon.